What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to the channel. You know the brand P&Z Life Coaching. You know the man, Coach Mike James, and I'm back again. I'm excited. Another dope episode of Black Business Booming. As you all know, I started this uh, early on. One of the first things I started doing on my YouTube channel when I created it, because I wanted to give a voice and a platform to Black businesses. I always say this at some point in the interview, and a lot of times at the beginning, that I don't need anyone to tell me what Black people are not doing, because I know what Black people in my circle is doing. So I'm excited because it's always connections with the interviews on the Black Business Booming series. And this one was the same. We met through a mutual friend, one that you go way back with, way further than me. So I'm excited about this, and excited to bring you this. So for all of you, before we jump into it, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you connect. I'm going to be dropping a lot of information in the description below, so you can find out how to connect with my guest as well. And yeah, if this is your first time here, same thing, go ahead and subscribe. I do 2 interview series. I do my dubs of the day, where it's just a little motivational moment that I do for my viewers. So thank you for being here, and I know you're going to enjoy. So to my guests, bro, I appreciate you for doing this. We already wrapped. I know this is going to be good because we wrapped a few days ago, and it was like, this is interview material right here. So I want you, what I started doing with the introductions, I want you to introduce yourself as if you were accepting an award, or you were on the stage. So just introduce yourself in whatever way you see fit to the audience.
Gotcha. Well, first off, I appreciate the invite. Absolutely appreciate the invite and appreciate what you're doing as well. So my name, Troy, Coach Esprit. So that coach, everybody kind of calls me coach. I mean, even family members will call me coach in a joking way at times. But I'm a former high school football coach. Started off playing arena football, got into professional arena football coaching, and then into high school coaching, and stepped away in 2019 as a head coach and athletic director. But yeah, man, I mean, I born and raised, well, I was raised in Texas, okay? I was born in California, but raised in Texas, in a small town right outside of Beaumont, Texas, called Cheek, Texas, Cheek. But I'm a country boy. My family's, my mom and dad, country folks from Louisiana. But yeah, raised in Texas, football is its sport. Yeah, I mean, over the years of me playing ball and getting into coaching, my with my background of hosting camps and things of that nature, it's all about that mentorship to young athletes at the end of the day, and that's kind of what I'm known for. So you can call me coach today.
I love it. I love it. And the thing about it, when we met, even when we talked last week, I was like, "What's up, coach?" Because it's natural for me, not only being a life coach, but a mentor, and then doing sports when I was younger. So it's like that. Coach is like synonymous to father figure for me in my life, like growing up playing sports, so a lot of men in my life that I respect, I call them coach, and it's like AKA second father. It's so funny, man, because connections are amazing. When I was in high school, 2 of the coaches that stood out to me was 2 funny. One of them was real funny, and he was when I was in high school playing football, he was in maybe his late 40s, early 50s. And he used to always come up to us. He was the receivers coach. He would say, "Look, let me tell you something, son. Your daddy wish he looked like me when he my age." He said, "I still outrun all y'all." And he was real funny, man. And he was a preacher. And everybody just called him Coach Evans. And then another one, he was like the driver's ed school teacher. And he was just funny, man. Everybody loved him. And years later, I didn't even connect it. One of them, I used to see like paraphernalia, but I didn't connect it. And turns out both of them became, I didn't even know, but they were so impactful in my life. And I became their fraternity brother. And it didn't hit me till years later. And I went back and I was like, you know what? I remember seeing this or that. And so that's just a funny story there. And then also another one, since we spoke, one of the schools here in Birmingham, Carver of Birmingham, they made a trip to Texas this past Friday. It was their first ever trip that far. They played Pyramid.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was big, of course, for the city because Texas is high school football king. It's
Yeah.
football country for sure.
Yeah.
So just connections, man. So that's awesome. That explains the Cowboys helmet behind you and all that good stuff. So,
Yeah. Yes,
so,
indeed.
so man, listen, you talked about being raised there in your city in Texas. And so I want you to take a moment. I want you to just tell everybody how we connected.
Yeah, man. So I like to say Bullet Express, man, and that's an opportunity for me to promote a good friend of mine's business, Bullet Express. He owns a driving school, CDL truck driving school. But he and I grew up together, man. We grew up together in the small town of Cheek, Texas, and back when we used to play it, everybody played it, but they played it on 2 feet. We didn't play it on 2 feet. We played it on Shetland ponies. All right. We rode around in the community on horses playing the game of it, but Bullet and I, grew up there in Cheek, and we grew up the country way. Now, Bullet took more of a hard-nosed country route than I did. I went sports and he went all into rodeo. So, but to see him doing what he's doing now is awesome. Is absolutely awesome. But you and I were joking because, for a long time, didn't even know his first name. His nickname was Bullet to us. Growing up, he was Bullet. I thought his mama named him Bullet,
Right.
at the end of the day. But found out his name was Denario when I left to go to college, I think was around the time I found out what his real name was, because I think somebody asked me about him, but used his name Denario. I'm like, no, we don't have a Denario in Cheek, Texas, because
Right.
everybody in Cheek, no, we don't have a Denario. But one thing led to another, and he started talking about the mom and dad and grandfather. I'm like, oh, you talking about Bullet? Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, he and I, we were talking, and we talk on a regular basis, and you came up, and he was like, man, it'd be great for you, to do something like that, with Mike. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to do it, man, because I am looking for different ways to get out and let people know what I'm doing and who I am, and how I can help. So yeah, that's I just talked to Bullet yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Nice. Yeah. I love that because it's connections. I always talk about that, man. So over 60 episodes now, and it's been people from my hometown. It's been a lot of my UAB college friends and those who went on to do the sports. People, a lot of people that I met on social media networks from different things, which is the way I met Bullet. So shout out to my bro De Niro. I wanted to share that because it's like, I say now, coach, I don't think it's 6 degrees of separation anymore. It may be 2 or 3 at best with
You
social
so right.
media in this information age, man, and the way now we connect with people all over the world just by the click of a button,
Yep.
on our phones and computers, man. So it's always nice to see, connections and stuff like that. And I just say, I always call it, man, it's the country way. I always call it extended family.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's get into it, coach. So now, from your time playing ball, arena, being a mentor and all that, I want you to take a moment and just tell everybody your business and when you started it and what inspired you to do so.
Gotcha. So actually, the whole mindset of it started back in 2005. I was a business major, and I always dreamt of having my own business, doing it my way. I was one of those guys where I want to do it my way. Everybody else's way is wrong. I want to do it my way. Well, I started Pro 7 Sports back in 2005, but basically what we were doing camps. We were just hosting football camps. Then I went and I got certified as a personal trainer, started training athletes, in between off seasons of playing ball. And, in over time, I found that mentorship meant so much to me, because for me, coaching football was more mentorship than wins and losses at the end of the day. Being able to host these camps, being able to train athletes wasn't always about the physical aspect of it. I wanted to give what I could mentally as well for these kids to understand what's about to come, and prepare them. So in 2019, when I stepped away from coaching, in 2019 is when I established Pro 7 Sports Recruiting. It was something that I always saw myself doing already as a coach, as a mentor, as a personal trainer. I was helping athletes. So basically, Pro 7 Sports Recruiting is where we match high school athletes with college coaches all across the nation. Okay. And we cover 22 sports. We started off in football in 2019, but we covered 22 sports. Now I have young ladies that are on flag football scholarships, at NAIA schools in Florida. So I have cheerleaders on scholarship, as well. So it's allowing me to be able to do.
Coach, if I could pause for a moment, I just want people to know the magnitude of that. Starting out covering football, and now you said 22 sports, 22 right? And I love that inclusivity where you mentioned flag football, cheerleading, 22 sports. That's big, because a lot of times, even when somebody's doing it, their focus is that one sport. It may be football, it may be soccer, it may be something else, maybe two, maybe sometimes you see football and basketball. So right. That alone, I just wanted to pause for the cause and say that's big, 22 sports and doing that and reaching out all over. We talked about that and we'll get into it. So go ahead, man. I just had to say, let me pause right there and let people know the gravity of that, covering 22 sports.
Yeah. I mean, that was something, because in the beginning, I dove into what I knew, and what I knew was football, but what I quickly learned was there's a need in all sports. I don't have to be, me personally, I don't have to be a specialist when it comes to a specific sport, because I know what an athlete looks like. I mean, I've coached athletes all my life, but I know what an athlete looks like. And I've learned so much about cheer. I've learned so much about, ladies flag football. I've learned about lacrosse. I learned about wrestling. I've learned about sports I had no desire to ever play myself, but I learned enough to know how to help, because at the end of the day, we're educating the family, along with the athlete, because the recruiting process has totally changed. It's completely flipped itself upside down. So no longer do you have scouts sitting in the stands, looking for athletes. They do it just like we're doing it now. They're on their computers, they're on social media trying to find out, who this kid is. They're online looking at programs like myself who, post and showcase athletes. They're looking for videos. So they do all this in the convenience of their home or their office. But the thing that's missing now is, how does an athlete get seen by multiple coaches when they're not going out to games anymore? They're reducing the recruiting budget and putting that money elsewhere in a lot of these schools. Now, granted, some of your Power 5 schools are still going to go out. But when they go out, they already know who they're going to look at. They're not looking for someone else. They want to show the interest that they've shown over whatever period of time. They want to show it even more by sending someone out, so paying one of the coaches to go out and sit at a game. So no, they're not looking at anybody else. They're only looking at the kid that they talked about in the beginning. So that's what we do. We're a selective program. There's a ton of recruiting services that are out there. Let me make it very clear. I am not a recruiting service. I'm not some of these programs that take on everybody. I only take on those that I know I can place in college. And by that, what I mean is there's an evaluation process coming through Pro 7 Sports Recruiting. We're going to evaluate you academically and athletically. And if you meet our standards or meet the college standards, then we can do what we say we can do. And that is get you real conversations with college coaches and get you offers on the table. So, we're not open to all, but we're open to those that truly have a dream and passion, that are working towards getting to, that goal, that ultimate goal, playing collegiately. And we will talk to those that we won't bring on, but we'll let you know what you need to do in order to become a Pro 7 Sports Recruiting athlete. Because once we bring somebody on, they're part of our family. We welcome them as a family member, and they get so much more than just matching them with high school, college coaches. Excuse me. We dive into the NIL guidance. We start guiding these athletes on preparing themselves for the NIL opportunities that are to come, because you got to start preparing for this in high school.
Yeah.
You don't get all this together in college. You got to start preparing in high school. And there's some states that high school kids can make some NIL money, you know. So but we have free SAT prep course. We give academic advisement. We even help with the transfer portal. When our kids go to college, we're not done with them. We want to see them through. You have so many that these services that want to get them in and go on to the next athlete.
Mm-hmm.
It's not how we operate, and that's why we have a selective program. We only bring those in that we feel can have the ability to make that next step. And I'm always upfront and honest. I've always been that way, and I'm that way with parents, and I'm up that way with athletes as well. But our program is an extensive program that does so much more than get them in front of college coaches, because we have access to every college coach in the nation, from D1 all the way down to JUCO. And that access that we have, we give it to our athletes, but we teach them how to have these conversations. We coach them on the right camps and showcases to go to, things of that nature. So it's a pretty intense program. We're at 100%. 100% of our athletes that we choose to bring on board get scholarships. And that's the golden ticket at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's where I want to stay. That's the lane I want to stay in. So it's not about the money. It's about staying in the lane of 100% of my young family members are getting offers and living out their dreams, at the end of the day. So yeah, and what I've also dove into, so we started that in 2019, and I've dove into motivational speaking. That's something that just carries over from coaching.
Yeah.
Getting the team pumped before a game. But I started by now I've been invited to go and talk to some high school teams pregame. I've talked to some high school athletic programs. I've hosted recruiting seminars for high school athletic programs as well. And that's definitely something I have a strong passion in doing. I love talking to the young athlete because, I feel it's a calling for me, because I'm a strong believer in faith. I'm a strong believer in, our God has laid out a plan for each and every one of us. And I truly believe that I'm living it out, and being able to get in front of young athletes to let them know it's so much more than just your athleticism that we need to be concentrating on, So we do that, motivational speaking, recruiting seminars, and that's all part of the Pro 7 Sports recruiting platform or umbrella. And I'm also a business consultant, man. And what kicked that off was because of what I've been through, because I've done some things right and I've done some things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had something figured out here and I didn't, and then I had it figured out here. But I finally got to a point where I'm able to streamline my business and save money on my business on the credit card processing side, because I've been a credit card or point of sale specialist for 4 years now. And, I've taken that information and implemented into my business. And some of the things that I do, I want to share, I definitely want to share. But much like you talked about is, creating those relationships. It's just another way for me to create relationships. But being able to talk to other business owners helps me too. It helps me too. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell, man. I know I rambled on, but that's kind of, I get passionate, especially about
I love it. I love it, man. Listen, so we have a wide audience there. Look, athletic coaches, counselors, mentors, teachers, principals, business owners. You need to be talking to Troy. I love that, because it's opportunity. And like you say, we'll get to that point, but so much of what we do as entrepreneurs, man, it comes from that passion, and when you're following that, I say this often when I'm speaking, I say, listen, don't bog yourself down or stress yourself so much trying to figure out your purpose. Follow your passion. It'll pin you to your purpose. Because when you follow what you're passionate about, it's like now that's when the puzzle pieces just fall in place for you because you're following that passion, and before you know it, people reach out to you and you live out that purpose just because you follow what you were passionate about. That, like you just talked about, that God-given innate thing that we love, that we want to do, that maybe it's something that we didn't even know we had that talent or that gift. And as we follow it, things lay out. So, oh man, I love that. So coach, when you think about that now, going back to 2019 and even before you got into the speaking and the consultant, so the last 4 to 5 years, because you mentioned 4 years with what you were doing as point of sale. So when you started out, what was one of the most challenging things in getting started with Pro 7 Sports?
Man, I tell you what, I wanted to be bigger than I needed to be in the beginning. I wanted to, they say we live in this microwave society where I fell for it. I fell for it, man. I wanted to hire employees and train them how to be scouts and get them certified. And I was going to do this, and I was going to be all across the world, and I wanted it tomorrow,
Yeah.
And I battled with that, man. I really battled with that, and it was a long battle because it was a couple months of just trying to bring on the right people and then trying to manage people and manage myself because I'm new into the business myself. So I'm trying to manage me and manage them, tell them what's right and wrong, trying to figure out if I'm doing right or wrong, and I tried to bite off more than I could chew, because again, I have a passion for helping athletes and educating families on the recruiting process. And I let that passion, overwhelm me or overtake me to where I wanted to do everything. I just wanted to be so big. I wanted to help everybody. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So my biggest challenge was just to stop, slow down, and, make it a process in becoming what I wanted to become versus just being it out the door, and I had to sit back and say to myself, hold on, wait a minute. Why would I be more special than somebody else that I can just open the door and everything will be great? And I have all these employees, I have all these apps. It doesn't work that way. So I had to step back, slow things down, and really cross my T's and dot my I's, because that was also something that part was new to me then. I thought, man, I'd run down and get me a DBA and I'm good. It just doesn't work that way, And so that was my challenge, just wanting to be big and expand what I do too quickly.
Yeah, I like that. I like that because that passion leads to that zeal that we have in the beginning, and we want to hit the ground running. And it's like, I think back to when I started. I was telling you when we talked last week that I started my coaching business in 2019 as well. And you think because you're passionate about it and you love it, when I make this announcement, they gonna come running. And it's the next thing, like you said, you got your DBA, now you got your name, this is it. You make the announcement and your phone will be ringing off the hook. And then it's like, wait a minute. So that hit home when you said that, because starting out, and that's already gems right there for that person who wants to start a business or just getting started, to know that, everything is a process. It's a process. And it's a matter of making sure that this is that thing that you want, and knowing that, again, like I tell people, it's your baby, right? When you start a business, it's your baby, and so you got to nurture, you got to sacrifice some of your time, you got to sacrifice your money, a lot of things that goes into it. So that's spot on, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that who are in business. So now in starting, you get past that point of slowing yourself down and say, all right, Troy, wait a minute. We got to pump the brakes. We got to establish some things before we get to this. Now, what are some of the day-to-day challenges in you wear a lot of hats as an entrepreneur. So in just running your business and as you mentioned earlier, getting to that point where you're streamlining now, what are some of the day-to-day challenges that you face?
Yeah, man, trying to create a system or systematic way to do what I do. Man, I had so many different platforms that I was using that would get me this for my athlete, get me this for my athlete, get me this. And it became confusing to me. And here I am, I'm trying to make it as comfortable and understanding on the other side to the recruit and their family. So That was that day to day was stressful. It's stressful, right? But now I'm able to streamline everything. But my biggest challenges now is still kind of what they were in the beginning. I'm so tempted to. It's not necessarily wanting to grow. It's just I want to help more. I just want to help
Mm-hmm.
more. And my day-to-day challenge is to just keep slowing down, help what you got now. The kids that you have now, pour into them, the others will come. And that's how it's been happening. When I slow down and I'm able to pour into my kids that I currently have, then the others they come. So but yeah, the day-to-day challenge is just, I do wear quite a few hats. And, my wife even told me, she said, well, if you come back home with one more business card, me and you're going to have some problems. But I'm always trying to, for me, it's like completing a circle because I do still host showcases and camps for football. Okay. I still do that. I also offer a program for others to start their showcases and camps, people that have a desire to mentorship to athletes, but to host camps and showcases. Because what we do is we verify times, we verify metrics and things of that nature for recruiting for these kids to put on their profiles. So I even help with other individuals that have a desire to start their own. We streamline it for them. We give them everything that they need to kickstart, a successful showcase. So there's a lot of things that I do, but it's completing that circle. It's still all in the realm of what I do for my athletes and giving me an opportunity to meet others that have some of the same passions so we can complete that circle.
I love that. And it makes me think about, like, even when I made this platform, Black Business Booming, I wanted to give people sometimes the behind the scenes that they don't typically see. You go to the about me section of someone's website, they don't get what are the challenges in getting started, the day-to-day challenges. And I like to give that kind of real cutting room floor,
Right.
experience for the audience. But also on that same note, I like to flip it. And the reason why I do the order like this, I like to flip it as well to give them that catalyst to say, hey, get off your butt and start putting in the work and do it. You have a dream, you have something that was laid on your heart that you want to do, a business that you want to do, or even if it's just writing your book or doing whatever it is, I like to also give that encouragement. So on the flip side of that, when you think about the challenges now going back to 2019 and to this day, and one of the things I know that comes across, even you talked about that passion for what you do and helping. So on the flip side of the challenges, what's the most satisfying thing that makes it all worth it for you when
Man.
you wake up in the morning, you think about Pro 7 Sports?
Oh man, it's just having an opportunity to see a young athlete sign their national letter of intent. Because when I get on these video calls with the athlete and the family, the first question I ask, the first is this a dream and passion of yours? And if their answer is yes, then we're going to have a good interview.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a good interview. But to be able to help them, in some shape, form, or fashion, achieve that dream, man. I mean, through coaching, you get that chill down your spine, that game-winning drive, that game-winning field goal, game-winning interception. That's a great feeling. And the whole sideline goes crazy, the stands go crazy. This is more of a one-on-one of me mentoring to a young athlete to help them achieve a dream, because even though during that game, it wasn't a dream to win that game. It was a moment, it was just a moment. This is starting the process of living out a dream. And so that chill down the spine is a little bit bigger, when they get to sit down and they sign that national letter of intent. So the most satisfying thing is when the parents fully feel like they're educated on the recruiting process and the kids signing that national letter of intent.
I love that. Yeah. That it's always that thing that And the reason why I asked that question, because it's that thing that drives you. And despite all the challenges, all the things that you do and the setbacks, the obstacles, the hurdles, it's that one thing that you say, okay, this is why I started this type of business. That's what makes it worth it. Now you've already dropped some gems, and it made me think about I'm a facilitator for Certified Life Coach Institute. And when I teach classes for life coaches, that's one of the things I say is encouragement. I mention it all the time. And any of my alumni that's even watching this, they know I say this, and I say, slow down. Whether it's in your coaching session or establishing your business, it's like you slow down to speed up, because a lot of times when you're rushing, you miss a lot of important signals. And
Yeah.
so that right there alone was an amazing gem. But for anyone watching this, right, and they see two Black men doing their thing and they say, entrepreneurship, they're thinking maybe I'm too old, I'm too young, or they're not sure. What is some advice that you would give for anyone wanting to start their business?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the fun part for me. So, I've always had a motto that I've lived by, and I couldn't even tell you where it came from. It just, I'm a heavy thinker. My wheels always turning, that happens to me. That was happening to me at a young age, right? So I came up with this motto of giving your best, right? And what I mean by giving your best, and it's not B.E.S.T. It's giving your B.E.S. Belief plus execution equals success. And I live by this as a player. I live by this as a coach. I live by this, as a man of faith, you know, and you can't skip over one to get the other. The only route to success is you have to start the beginning, and that's believing. And you have to believe in something so much and have a passion for it so much that no one can steer you away from it. And if you believe in it that strong and execute the belief behind it, and then you'll have success. So, if you have a passion, if you're questioning yourself about it over and over, it's probably not going to work. Find something that you believe in. I don't care how small it is. I don't know. It doesn't matter how small or big it is. It doesn't matter the size. It matters the size of your belief at the end of the day. And if you want to start a business, a socks for socks. I mean, just socks. It doesn't matter if you believe in it wholeheartedly. Whatever those socks are, the design, the comfort feel, whatever it is. If you can exude that belief to everyone, then you'll succeed. But you have to have, it's belief first. You have to have that belief. And then the execution part of it is putting that belief to work, putting that belief to work. How do you get that belief to work? That's the execution process. And then success is just maintaining, just maintaining. And the growth and everything else will come from the belief, So yeah, I just give your best, man. And you got to go through that process. You have to go through that process.
I love that. I love that. And Coach, I think I even saw one of your older YouTube videos where it was announcing you, Coach, and I think you mentioned that. I think it was like a news interview where you mentioned that
Probably.
B.E.S. Yeah.
I say it a
So,
lot.
and the reason why I say that, because it's one thing for me, I created my 5 C's, right? And one of the things I say with all of those, if it was another one on top of that, it would be consistency. And so this is a message that you've been sharing again for years, and it's something that you believe in and that you stick to. So that's why I mentioned that, because what you're saying is it's proof in the pudding. You're not just making up something. It's something that you truly wholeheartedly believe in and that you execute
Well,
to
see,
this day.
I can guarantee you. I have some athletes, some of my former athletes that will probably watch this, and as soon as I said BES, it hit home for them
Yeah.
because we put it on their uniforms. We wore it on their uniforms for 3 years. We wore
Nice.
BES on the shoulder of their uniform. We had BES all implemented inside the entire weight room. So I'm a firm believer. This is not something I just woke up yesterday. BES is strong. Giving your best is strong. And it's always worked for me, and it's worked for my young athletes as well. And I get the opportunity to talk to some of my former athletes that are still, playing ball to this day, some that aren't playing ball, that are doing very well for themselves. And usually before we end the conversation, we talk about B.E.S. at some form of fashion, whether it's through text or on the phone. And I'll have athletes, I'll tell them, they may be doing something, say, hey, man, you're doing great, man, keep it up. And then that athlete will text back, B.E.S, coach.
Yeah,
Woo,
that's
man, you
awesome.
about to get me fired up in here, man.
I know. Listen, I love that because it's like the things that you share with people that you care about, right? So those young athletes and those people you're mentoring and coaching them and helping them. And then when they repeat something back to you, it's the same feeling that I had when I maybe spoke to a youth group and I bump into one of them and they say, yeah, I remember you, you told us about the 5 C's or something, or
Yeah.
I won one of the shirts in your speaking. I won one of your shirts. So like you say, that feeling, man, is like confirmation, you know what I mean? So I love that, coach. So with what you're doing and all the things that you are doing, and it's funny when you say your wife told you if you come back in here with one more one more card, the hats you're wearing, what's next for your business? What's next in terms of the lane or the path that Pro 7 Sports is going?
Well, so like we talked about in the beginning, I wanted to hire all these scouts and this and that, and I had to trim it all back down to me. I had to get this right first. So 2025, our plan for 2025 is we are going to bring on 10 new scouts that will be trained and certified to do what I do, to help me do what I do. So we can get more hands-on as we grow, because we're starting to grow. We're really starting to grow. But to be more hands-on, because we want to be hands-on with our athletes as much as possible. A lot of our business is automated with the information that our athletes get. But at the same time, voice to voice, we want to hear, I want my athletes to hear my voice, to see me and to hear me and to hear other scouts. So that's part of our growth. The growth plan is we're going to hire 10 scouts, and they're going to be, they don't necessarily have to be sports, individuals. They have to be good people. We're hiring 10. I'm going to train you on how to do the rest. That part's easy, but you got to be a good person, to represent that Pro 7 Sports recruiting name. So that's one of our goals. And we've been working on, for 2025, we've been working on a national recruiting combine that we're going to do once a year. It's probably going to be here in Texas, but we're working on that for 2025 as well.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Growth.
Yeah.
Again, like you say, now it's gonna be plastered in my mind. B.E.S.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna talk some months from now or something. I'm gonna remember that and now be repeating that back to you when I check in. So I want you, coach, just take a moment and just tell the audience again, for the audience of your target audience as well, any news or specials or information that you want to share in terms of for the business and ways that they can connect with you.
Absolutely. So as far as Pro 7 Sports recruiting, I'd like to definitely lay it down, in its entirety of what we offer athletes and their families. We do offer total college coach access. That means access to college coaches' emails, the athletic department phone number, their social media accounts. And our system, our platform updates itself every 3 months because there's a coaching carousel in college. But we offer that to our athletes. We offer also, we teach our athletes how to have these conversations with college coaches, kind of give them a baseline of what needs to be said, what college coaches are looking for, academic advisement as well. We do what we call sports camps recommendations. So we advise on the different camps and showcases that are out there. And we just let families know whether or not these camps or showcases are going to be for the experience only, or if it's going to be truly ones that are going to evaluate the athlete. So at least letting the parent know what they're spending money on at the end of the day. And then, like I said, we take that ride with our athletes. If a junior college is the route we want to take, we take that ride with our kids because our ultimate goal is a 4-year institution. And then even getting into that 4-year institution, we still take that ride. So if any of our athletes have a desire to go into the transfer portal, what we do is we jump on a video call with the parents and athletes, and we make sure this is something that they truly want to do. But we educate them on what this means, at the end of the day. So if the decision is to get into the transfer portal, we walk our athletes in it and out of it because so many athletes get stuck in the transfer portal. Much like NIL, the transfer portal never really was introduced properly. It was more or less just said, hey, if you don't like a school, you can jump in the transfer portal and somebody will pick you up. Well, it doesn't work that way. You almost need to know where you're going before you get into the portal. So we make sure all of our kids comfortably get into the portal and out of it, based on the situation that didn't work out for them. But talking about NIL, this year we started an NIL guidance program as well. Well, we do a one-on-one consultation with our athletes about the NIL and guidance with it. But not only that, when our athletes sign their national letter of intent, we have 2 NIL deals waiting on them to sign. So they're not break the bank by no means, but they're 2 opportunities for our athletes to see if, hey, is this NIL something I want to do or pursue? And if it is, we'll help you. If it isn't, no big deal. But we'll have 2 NIL deals waiting for our athletes after they sign their national letter of intent. But we fully educate the parents as well. We make them understand what their role is because a lot of parents don't truly understand their role in this. It's not as big as most parents think it is. College coaches don't want to hear from mom and dad. College coaches want to talk to the athlete. But we teach our athletes about how to maintain their social media accounts, from A to Z of recruiting. And so what I want to offer here today is a free consultation. A free consultation to any parent out there that has an athlete walking around and you're just not sure, of what your next steps are. You don't have any offers. You haven't had any conversations with college coaches. And I want to say, parents, the time to start this is not your senior year. It is not your senior year. Your 12th or your 11th grade year, your junior year is a little late. Okay. You want to start this process anywhere between the 7th and 9th grade is when you want to start this process. Even though you can't have a legitimate conversation with a college coach at that point in time. But boy, if you're preparing everything for those conversations and that evaluation is going to go so much smoother. So any parents out there, and I love helping the single mom home, especially when they have this athlete walking around the house, they have no idea what to do with this athlete. They get so many of the outside noise telling them what they need to do. And the biggest mistake a lot of athletes and a lot of families make is that they want to follow the process of someone else, some other athlete, some other family's athlete, and it doesn't work that way. Everybody's road to a college scholarship is different. It's just different. And they have to understand that. But it is a strategy now. Back when I was playing, you play hard, you play as the best you possibly can, and somebody will find you. Doesn't work that way anymore. There's a strategy behind it. So, a free consultation, a no obligation consultation. We're just going to talk, find out where your athlete is, where they need to be, and then I'll give you some pointers on how to get them there as well. And then we'll send you a free recruiting guide. It, touches up on some of the things that we had talked about in that consultation, but there's some extra tidbits or information to help you as well. And then as far as on the business consultant side, if you're in the market of starting a business or, in the beginning of getting your business going, or you're just struggling with your business, look, free consultation, we'll sit down, we'll talk, no obligation as well, but we'll talk about some ways that I've done it, and we'll talk about some ways you can streamline and also save money. But I'll tell a lot of business owners, the key to making money or the key to start of making money is saving money. You're just throwing it all over the place to be seen and be heard, it doesn't always matriculate into, revenue. So you want to save, credit card processing. How do you process credit cards? If you set your price here, but the people are paying with credit cards, your price actually drops because you're getting money taken out sight unseen. And a lot of businesses fail because they lose hundreds of dollars in a month and thousands in a year, sight unseen. It's that sight unseen money, and so I'm here to help. So we'll have a QR code, down below where you guys can register to have those free consultations. And I'll be more than happy to talk to you guys and help you out.
Absolutely, man. Coach, man, I appreciate it, man. I'm definitely going to be pushing this as well to a lot of the organizations and schools and different things that I've worked with in the past, because that's passion for me, the youth. And so many of the groups that I speak with are athletic groups, even the connection with, it took some years, but finally during the pandemic, I was able to go back home and speak to my alma mater, my high school, and spoke to the team. And it was just this kind of full circle moment where, I was able to do that. And, it's amazing where you do so much abroad and you can do, it don't matter how big you get or how successful you are. It's something about being able to go home,
Man.
and I have been trying for years, and it was so awesome to do that. And just a little bit of it, I say to this day, I'm going to take credit because they went on to win their first game after I spoke with them. And it was a team that we haven't beat in years, years, man. So that was
I'm
awesome
still waiting on
experience.
my alma mater to call me, man.
Yeah, that's how it is.
And I've been all around them, man. What?
Hey, look, Coach, I'm telling you, it's and anybody watching us who does speaking or businesses and different things like that, the struggle that we're talking about. It's crazy sometimes how, and sometimes we refer to that too as the Nazareth negation. That's Mary's boy. That's the coach's son. What he gonna do for me? So it's amazing where I encourage coaches the same way, in the class, and those who keep in touch with me, I say, listen, a lot of times you got to branch out because it's the people closest to you. Sometimes I don't even know if it's, what's the word to put on it, but it's more proving that you have to do, right? Because it's that familiarity of like, well, it's home. We'll come get you when we're ready. And then when you're on, it's like now you think twice, like, man, wait a minute. So that was just a really amazing moment for me. And one of my older brothers, he was able to go with me and we kicked it the whole day. So that was an amazing thing. And it made me think about it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be pushing this out to a lot of these youth organizations and stuff that I'm working with, even other coaches and mentors here in the city too, because I want believing in what you're doing and the passion and the person that you are, I want Pro 7 to be that household name,
I appreciate
because
that.
Because of the what is it? What is I'm trying to say? The meat of it. That's the content. It's what's the brick and mortar, and that's all about the person and the passion behind it. So, man, Coach, anything else that you want to, any final words or anything that you want to leave my audience with today?
Well, look, so, and I know we briefly touched on it. I'm a firm believer in my faith. And I truly believe this is a calling of mine because I have a passion. When you have a passion to wake up in the morning to do something, you've picked the right path. You know what I mean? Or the path that was chosen for you, you finally found. Right. So like you see, I get excited about talking about this, man. And I can't do this enough. But being able to get up in front of people and talk and motivate and to be able to help in some shape, form, or fashion makes me feel good. Makes me really feel good because I never saw myself, trust me, I never saw myself as a coach, number one. And I loved it. And, I'm a very humble person. Through my coaching, I have a real good record when it comes to coaching. But it wasn't always about that. That's why you don't see me posting, my coaching record or, and things of that nature. It was more about the mentorship for me. So, man, if you can find, I'll just leave this with everybody. If you can find a passion, if your passion is, having a career, at whatever you went to school for, whatever that case may be, go for it. Keep pushing. But if you have a passion to start a business, and you've been afraid to take that leap, man, if you're a believer in God, say a prayer. Say a prayer. Talk to him. Build that relationship with him, and man, he'll guide you in the right way, without a doubt. He won't lead you astray. He'll guide you in the right way. But my final is just believe. You got to start there. You got to believe in yourself. All right. You got to believe in what it is you want to give, to those out there. But that's the start. That is the start. That's for athletes, young athletes, young students. If you want the highest GPA at your school, believe you can do it. Believe you can do it. If you want to be the best basketball player, volleyball player, softball player, you got to believe first. So no matter what you want to do in life, just believe. Just believe.
Yeah, love that. Believe, and then you got to execute. You got to put in the work. You got to look. I tell people all the time. Look, I tell people all the time. You can pray, meditate, think, plan it out all you want. If you don't get up and make something happen and do the work, you ain't gonna get there. And then success. I love it. I love it, Coach. Look, Troy, I appreciate you, man, for taking the time out today and doing this. Again, shout out to De Niro for hooking us up and connecting us, man. I'm excited to see what comes from you, and definitely will be in touch, because even on the speaking waves and different stuff, I always look for ways to stay connected with the people that I connect with, and I always like to be of service and say, however I can help someone out, let me know. So I appreciate you, and thank you to everyone that tuned in to this episode of Black Business Booming, and we will see y'all next time on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.